Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, so we're going to go back before we go forward. But we're going to go forward by going back. Remember when you were a little kid? We have nice examples right here. We did. We were just sponges, wide-eyed wonders, ready to take everything in. And then begins the process of, as children, we're taught that having all the right answers holds the key to success. But do remember, you see, we all have beginner's mind, which means we have that fresh, open and receptive awareness, but it has been altered and affected. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Rachel Carson. She's a naturalist. Okay. She wrote the following: a child's world is fresh, new, and beautiful, full of wonder and excitement. It is our misfortune that for most of us, that clear-eyed vision, that true instinct for what is beautiful and all-inspiring is dimmed and lost before we ever reach adulthood. She said, if I had the influence with the good fairy who's supposed to preside over all children, I should ask her the gift to each child. It'd be the sense of wonder, so indestructible that it would last throughout life. So that's to stir you to remember. We each have that. And if we allow ourselves to go back in memory, we'll find ourselves going back to times and places when we were so excited about living life, about being present in the moment and making discoveries of what was there to discover. And you see, this is true beginner's mind, because there are so many possibilities. And in the expert's mind, there are so few. It's as if we have come to assume that it is important for us to have all the right answers in order to be successful. Translatable, we've grown to be afraid to experience the unknown. That we limit our experiences to what we've already had and try to so control life, because we think by doing that, then our success, i.e., we're not afraid, will happen. But pay attention to this now, because you see, all of us are being taught and encouraged to look again as to what true and genuine success is all about. The source of most of the material that I used for my lecture was from Zen Buddhism. But if any of you are familiar with the approach that Zen Buddhism takes, they're right. And everybody else is catching up. That's a nice way to put it, right? Well, if you're a Christian, you're right. Everybody else is going to hell. I mean, each religion has a distinct limitation. But let's go on from there and see that really, one of the things that we're being shown and encouraged to recognize on our own is that we are involved in what's known as evolution. And it's being brought to us in the way of, here, we're showing you how to spiritually evolve. And it's really pretty simple. Be present. Get out of your head. Pay attention to what's going on. Recognize you are a spiritual being, clothed in a body of earth, but the earth really is just like on one hand, it's a schoolhouse, and on the other hand, it's outside, the recreation area. I mean, you go to school and you're going crazy, and then finally the teacher said, okay, recess, and then everybody comes to life. It's interesting how even adults recognize that in order to be able to brainwash us over an extended period of time, we have to be given a certain limitation to express ourselves. I found that as a kid myself, growing up and going through school, blah, 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 so on and so forth, many times I would be caught off guard. And someone would ask me a question and I'd have to say, I don't know. Well, after a while, being laughed at long enough for not knowing the answer, I tucked that in and tried to pretend to have an answer. But deep inside, I knew that's who I am. If I don't pretend with myself, then I'm a lot happier with me, even if I don't know the answer. Well, at least I myself have begun to see that there's a very, very close kind of like, if not brother and sister, at least cousins of a beginner's mind, and I don't know. Because I have found that as long as I am honest with myself, and I look at everything and I have a better view of it, and I say, okay, I don't know, that I'm not trying to pretend to be, I'm simply allowing myself to be open and receptive to that much more that I am then able to see, instead of being limited to only the correct answer. So to ignite the magic of your beginner's mind, try practicing the following techniques in your everyday life. What's the first one? Be present. Be present. Pay attention to what's going on. So many of us live our lives in the past or the future that we don't have a clue of what present is. The only way we see present is how it relates to what we have experienced or what we are fantasizing we want to have in our future. And we're putting a lot of attention, a lot of effort on trying to make that happen. So, be present. And I'm saying, practice that with having all of your senses engaged. Okay, and then along with that, it has helped me, and I'm sure it has helped any of you who have practiced this, detachment. If you can be detached with what's happening or what you anticipate is up and coming, you see that you're getting away from that fixation that we have in achieving a particular outcome. And when we do that, of course, we're blocking ourselves from any and all other possibilities except the ones that we are focused on. Now, these are things that you're not hearing from this boy for the first time in your life. And if you've been a member of this organization, you've heard Spirit say it many, many, many times. Be present. And hey, don't be so stuck on what you want. As again, be detached, because life has a lot available to us. But if you've only narrowed it down to what you say you want, then all the rest of it you're oblivious to. So, when you practice detachment, then you get to the place of opening up to those expanded possibilities. Instead of, here we have front row example. Ken, yes, a fine spirit indeed for any of you who have had the opportunity to get beyond his facade. You say, my, what a wonderful spirit. Really, good to know, good to see, good to experience. And then, instead of jumping for the right answer, I gotta have the right answer, you, don't worry about it, okay? Look at what you're learning. You're learning how to control your body. And in controlling your body, you're getting a lot of delight out of what you can do with your body. Right? Okay, wrong. Let's go. Well, just think of what I said, the word right. That assumes that there is a rightness, whereas in reality, you're learning mastery through control. And that's really the important thing. So the next point that I wanted to get to, and as I can, help all of you help yourselves. Be curious. Really. Let yourselves be open. I mean, this morning, I had the opportunity to leave the ranch at 35 degrees. Drove down through 28 degrees. Drove into low 30s getting here. And all the while, the sun was coming up, nature was coming alive, and most people were driving down the freeway oblivious to it all. There is so much that this planet offers to us if we will only allow ourselves to get away from seeing if everything is going the way you're, what do you call this thing? You're fine. You're all connection to the universe. So, be curious. And then the other thing that I would encourage you in, so that you can start getting closer to beginner's mind, is eliminate should thinking. You know, I should, we should, it should. If you can get away from that, you'll see that you then start entering into more of the creative expressions of life. And you'll find that if you do, nature's going to surprise you time after time after time. Instead of frogs jumping, you're going to see frogs flying. Have you ever experienced it raining frogs? Anybody? I have.
Yes.
But then again, Florida's a different world. Anyhow, if you can do that, then you can actually start enjoying the adventure of life. And I must confess, as a kid, I don't know, I guess what I did is I said, okay, my childhood is going to be the pits in some ways, but I'm also going to ask that I be raised mostly in the country. And because I was, my goodness me, I would be out there as soon as I could, no matter where it was. Kansas in the wintertime, Florida in the summertime. I was out there experiencing whatever was there to be experienced. And I say to you, to me, that helped me to then be prepared for the onslaught of adulthood. So that then I can come before you now at 78 with a lecture such as this material, and say it from the heart. When I open myself up and I stay present, I am then open and receptive to what is, instead of having the dominant control inside of me say, no, I've got to stay with what I know. Another nice thing that I say, and I say this to all of you because you're becoming more and more sensitive and receptive, and that is, hey, your guides can help you to experience what more is available by being present in two worlds simultaneously. It really will help you to live a fuller life, and to have that come back to you time after time after time, because you are choosing to be present, you are choosing to be curious, you are choosing to practice detachment, that you will be able to be in a state of wonder, of delight. You know, and hey, can't happen all the time, doesn't happen all the time. I know that we're all confronted with things that people, situations, whatever it is going to be demanding of our attention, and demanding in a certain way because that's their fixation. But I say to you, you can slip out of that, and if you can't, you know that you don't have to stay in it once you leave the presence. How many times now are you caught up in a situation where it leaves a bad taste in your mouth and it stays there? No matter how much Listerine you may gargle, it's still a bad taste. So, you see, there is room for improvement and opportunity to grow. And we are so blessed to have the continued influx of enlightenment come to us to help us in that way.
Yes.
So, in conclusion, and thank God I've missed a lot of this. Well, it's true. I looked at this and I said, there's got to be help. I've got to have help for this one. All right. So, in a sense, beginner's mind is learning to forget what you think you know so that you can appreciate what is. And remember, beginner's mind, that's just a mental framework. That's just a way to see it inside of you that I can apply it. So, thank you very much. I appreciate your attention.